My new book, Facts That Aren't True, is out now. Don't forget about my other book, Rational Answers to Stupid Questions. Click the link in the description now. No, I just think that the unprecedented gains in human rights, I guess we could say, that have happened since the Enlightenment, I think the accelerated rate of that means it had really very little to do directly with Christianity, because for 1800 years, not much happened.
I mean, I don't think you can really say that, honestly. I don't think that you can say that there was no advancement of... the concept of human rights, I do think, is specifically a Western invention, right? The Chinese don't have it, the Japanese didn't have it, the Indians didn't have it. It was the West that developed our specific ideas of human rights, right? Our unique...
Okay, the West has its own Western ideas of rights, but the idea that the Chinese didn't have a concept of human rights is...
Not ours.
Of course not, because they live in the East.
Correct.
You're just saying the floor is made of floor.
The modern idea of human rights that the UN does is a Western European concept. It was not very much... It did not receive very much input from the Eastern philosophies.
That's fine, but
there was no moral development or philosophical development between the first century and the 19th century. I don't really think is all that accurate. I think it's ahistorical.
I didn't say zero. I think I said almost none. I mean, compared to...
saying almost none, I think, is untrue. Just historically inaccurate.
Sure.
And I get it. You might not be a historian, but...
Sure. Give some examples.
Well, for one thing, the abolition or the call for the abolition of slavery was a Western invention that you could say was a product of specifically the unique historical context of Western Europe that is inseparable from Christianity, I would argue.
Who were the only people fighting to preserve slavery?
The only people fighting to preserve slavery?
In the Western context, who were the people that were fighting to preserve slavery?
People with a material interest in slavery.
Yeah, what did they believe in?
That it would benefit them materially. That generally is how it works.
The answer is they were Christians. So, the first country to abolish slavery in the West?
Fighting against it. In the West,
Christians. So you cancel out the like terms, and what we're left with is
not really,
abolitionists abolished slavery.
Yeah, and they were more or less, they were specifically evangelicals generally. They were generally, but I also think that opposition to slavery is a Christian product. There's a reason why the Arabs had to be forced to do it.
Christianity lost a war in the United States that they fought to preserve slavery.
Well, both sides were Christian, I'd say.
Exactly. So cancel out like terms, and abolitionists abolished slavery.
I don't think you can, because the
okay,
Arabs
well then Christians were pro-slavery. There, I will not.
Anti-slavery.
So what do we do with this schizophrenic viewpoint?
Well, I don't think
say that. Well, because I think the right side of history.
The concept of opposing slavery in the West is a result of its Christian moral development. Basically, anything in the West you could partially credit Christianity in part. I don't believe that there's a single human nature or human moral system. Different cultures have different morality because of different contexts they exist in. And modern morality is partially a product of Western Christianity that then spread globally. The United Nations is fundamentally a Western invention, and so the United Nations views of morality are partially Christian-inspired, and more Christian-inspired than they are inspired by, say, Confucian morality.
I can't think of literally a single moral principle that the United States has that it got from Christianity. In fact, the United States is...
Religious toleration came from the Baptists.
Oh, God.
Who did it come from? It didn't come from the Muslims, didn't come from the Hindus, didn't come from the Buddhists.
Could you please state...
Didn't come from the Catholics.
Could you please state the first commandment?
I'm talking about political philosophy,
Could you please state the first commandment?
Liberty? Then why were Protestant
Could you
Calvinist countries
please
the most
state
religiously
the
free
first
while the
commandment?
Muslims were beheading? You will have no other gods before me. So
right.
why do you think...
Where is the religious tolerance in that?
Oh, I don't know how. Well, actually, I do know how it developed. It developed
So
because
the question
Baptists
is,
had a particular.
the question
So
is,
why do
if
you
we
think the
take,
Baptists? No, no.
oh
So
my
I'm asking you a
goodness.
question now. If you
Well, no, that's not happening. So where is the religious tolerance to be found in the Christian texts? I can
in the
fully
Christian
agree with
texts,
you.
I'm talking about the Christian religion, not the texts.
Okay,
Maybe it's because
you don't
Europeans, maybe English are just more tolerant.
literally
I don't
don't
know if Englishmen
understand
are.
what you're trying to say. I can agree that a Christian, such as a Baptist, despite what their religion teaches, what it really says, can come to beliefs that are that disagree with it, such as religious tolerance. But where in the actual texts of the religion can you find any of that?
Well, Christianity isn't limited to the Bible. It's a tradition that people live in the same way that every aspect of Islam is not in the Quran. There's jurisprudence attached to it. There's tradition attached to it. I'm simply saying that our modern views of morality are partially inspired by the Bible in a way that is inseparable, and especially inspired by the
It's very
church.
separable.
Right? What?
It's very separable because the people that have always been on the opposite side of every human rights advancement in the West have been Christians.
I mean, you could say that in either way, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because the West is a Christian civilization.
Yeah, well,
Muslims have
kind
been
of.
on the side of every bad and good conflict in the Arab world too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost like the Arab world is a Muslim civilization. It's almost like the West is a Christian civilization. I mean, if you could really go say, like, Englishmen in every conflict in England were on both
Yes,
sides.
and
right?
thankfully
Does that
we
mean
had
that-
the Enlightenment to combat Christian
Yes,
beliefs.
and we can thank Englishmen for that. We can't thank Arabs for it.
I don't care geographically where they came from.
Well, I'm talking about culture.
Right. So can you
Do you
point
think
to...
all cultures are equal?
No, obviously not. They're all different.
How would you rank them?
I would go with the QST-CBR ranking system.
Elaborate on that.
You wouldn't get it. So, anyways, what in the Bible can
Do you
you...
consider yourself the cultural equal of an Iraqi?
Oh my goodness. So, I agree that
I
there
would
are...
assume no.
I agree that there are better and worse places in the world. I think that the United States is a pretty decent place to live. And I think that a lot of places, like, I don't know, Myanmar, North Korea, Russia, Afghanistan, Eritrea, Ethiopia. What's that? Oh, there's that really weird... I can't remember which country it is. It's in like central... It's in like way Western Asia. I can't remember. But yeah, there are places that are worse to live. I agree. Such as anywhere in Europe before the Enlightenment. They weren't. I would not want to live in any of those places.
Yeah, but you can't deny that somehow the Dutch Republic was just as unfree as, like, Poland. Poland's a bad example. Russia. Right? And you can even
don't know
compare
what you're
different
saying.
Protestant. You can say Protestantism is more inclined to our modern morality than Orthodoxy is.
Okay. Would you rather live in a theocracy or a representative, or a country that has some sort of representative government, a secular
You can have
representative
both. Iran has both.
So, would you rather live in a theocracy?
What culture is it?
I don't care. Would you rather live in a theocratic state?
I'd rather probably live in a. Generally, I'd rather live in a liberal democracy. But I'd also rather live in a Western liberal democracy than like a Eastern one.
Okay. Do you wish the United States was more theocratic?
It's not really, no.
That's not even close to what I asked you. Do you wish the United States was more
I said
theocratic?
no, not really. I would rather it not be, but it also isn't, and that also doesn't change
didn't say
the fact
that it is.
modern Western morality is influenced by Christianity, right? I'm not doing a point scoring system here. I'm trying to talk about history, right? I don't really care about your own hang-ups about modern culture.
That's fine. So it sounds like
Well, I prefer Western. Someone said I prefer secular. I prefer Western societies.
over secular. So
No.
can you give me something that is a Christian belief that a secular person cannot believe in?
Oh, I didn't say that they can't. I'm saying historically how it developed.
So it's not necessary.
How these things developed. I think historically it seemed to be necessary in the same way that modern Chinese culture is a result of Confucius, right? I'm talking about what actually happened. Right? Whether it's sort of necessary now is a different issue. I'm talking about historically. Historically, our modern morality is a result of thousands of years of Western history.
Yes, and our morality accelerated 1800.
Well, I don't believe in progress like that. I don't believe in progress like that. Morality differs.
Interrupting Cow says
there is no true morality.
Interrupting Cow says. So to me, what I'm getting from you a little bit, and if I'm wrong about this, then please tell me about it. It sounds like the more Christian we would become, the worse we would get, because you don't want to live you don't wish the United States was more theocratic.
More because I think that it's un-American and it just wouldn't work in America, right? America it's not in line with the American character. Now, there are other countries that have state churches. What? What?
Religious tolerance comes from Christianity, but if we were more Christian, then we would be less American.
If we were theocratic, but I guess you'd have to define theocratic, right? If
you
really
wanted to say,
what are we, a bunch of fucking Arabs, right? I'm not going to say that, if that's what you want me to say.
I don't think anybody should say anything like that.
Okay, sure you don't, buddy. But
fuck you, cunt.
I would say, calm down, right? No need to get upset. I'm not saying
nobody's upset. You're just a you're just a dog shit person. Goodbye.
I'm just saying.